Everything got funneled into Titanic. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Google Translate, not the best.
Hello.
It is getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Google's
that's
auto
fine.
translate for the whole page is better than it used to be. Significantly better.
That's true.
But the Google Translate website is still itself not great.
Bleh.
Hello, now we
Hey,
can.
there you are. Hi.
We can hear.
Greeting.
No worries.
What the fuck was that cackle?
I just
what
saw
was that
Kyle's.
cackle?
I just saw Kyle's comments in our in the chat or the voice chat.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw those.
Well, you put it. You know, that's not the one that we usually use to trash talk each other. Typically, we use live recording chat, the actual channel, not the.
Yeah.
You put it
It
in the
went to
voice
fucking
chat
VC
channel.
chat. Yeah.
It's all right.
How is
It's the
everyone
fun-
doing at home?
How many pieces of bread have you eaten in between? Okay. Yeah. Hello, I have spent too long in the basement for 1 week, uninterrupted, and I've devolved into a goblin. Help!
I'm Connor. I'm their voice for Julius and Ram. I'm the one that's gonna have to go down and put down that goblin real quick. I'll be right back.
Holy shit! Wait a minute.
Not yet.
Wait a minute. He might confuse that goblin with no.
Alright, guys, we're down one narrator. What are we gonna do?
Well, double duty. Let's go.
I left his mouth fine.
Oh my god. What the hell?
Greenie, go.
All right. I am Greenie. I am one of the editors of Studio Reverie, and I had a bit of a design change, sort of. It's been a long week. Let's just say that.
Indeed.
Hello, I am Carmen, another editor for Studio Reverie, as well as the #1 Melee fan. You may know me as the voice actor for Melee and Lai Button Kaitos for today.
Spoilers.
Oh my. He's always here.
You don't like that?
The Titanic Scorpion. Oops.
Oh, now you might have to.
Well.
Unless you changed all of them, no one would ever do that, though.
No, I checked the.
No, they've been changed. I wanted to change it back, but okay.
I checked the Japanese. It is giant. It's not Titanic in this.
Okay.
Fair enough. Okay.
So the translator said, "Make it Titanic every single time."
I mean, we could still say it if we want.
That's Studio Reverie flair.
I wish to not be fired today. So, hi everyone. I'm Tealdi. Hello. I'm narrating today. I think there's some stand-in Betty lines, and yeah, good times.
Woo. Real quick, I don't know if Kyle's is coming through to the.
Yeah,
stream.
same. It might be. She might be a ghost right now. Let's check. Kyler, can you say something? You can see it on stream.
There it is. Yes.
sadly.
We can hear you in Discord. Just a second
Ow!
on stream.
I don't think the stream can. Yeah, no, the stream definitely cannot. The stream cannot.
Nope, it cannot.
Ah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay, hold
Well,
up.
minor
What?
technical
Well-
difficulties, everyone. We'll get
Test,
to that.
Actually, I don't think
test.
the stream can.
Stream!
Yeah.
Stream!
Yep, that did it.
Jeez.
That did it.
Yeah,
Ow.
yeah, there we go. I could hear the
Sorry.
stream fucking scream twice. every
Sorry.
single time. There we go.
I forgot you guys have ears too.
No.
Anyways,
No.
where was I?
Convenient.
Not after that anymore.
Was
but
that perhaps the most out of touch thing a voice actor has ever said?
I
You are-
forgot
You guys missed everything I did, and I was on fire today.
Yeah.
You are actually coming in too loud now.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to joke. I'm being
I
genuine here. Like
believe
it is on the other side.
How's that? Is
Oh,
that better?
I think that's still a bit too loud. That's peaking a bit.
Keep talking for a second.
Testing,
I think on
testing.
stream it's
Chase, you
better.
need
I
to
think
help
on
me
stream it's
adjust,
better.
please? Because I can't reach and talk at the same time. Thank you. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
That sounds better in Discord.
All right, Chase, what's it look like on the screen?
It's looking great. It's only going into.
Okay, yeah,
Yellow?
you sound
Okay.
better. There we go.
Thank you. The
Yeah.
worst part about managing this stream is adjusting gain and volume. Sometimes people change it as we speak, and then you have to adjust it. So I'm getting Chase
Yeah.
to do it on the fly. Normally I just do it on my own, but I forgot to walk him through it.
It's all good. It's worked out.
Anyways,
Thank you,
I'm
Chilled,
Kyle's.
for pointing it out before we started.
Thanks.
And before we go further, thank you so much, Magic Mimikyu, for the $20. It's so good to be back.
Oh, yes, thank you. All right, we got a long chapter today, so we should probably
Yeah.
jump
Yes.
into it pretty quick.
Jump straight into
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Alrighty.
TLD narrating.
Going yeah.
We all ready at home and here to get started?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I will try to remember. All right. Arc 6, Chapter 79. Ready, steady, go. The giant scorpion was the one to fire off the first blow to start the battle. Its red compound eyes glittered brightly, and immediately afterwards, a white ray of light gushed forth from its swinging tail. What was terrifying about that was that its blow, meant as a fatal one for them, had been fired off without even one of its typical cries. With nary even a hiss, the giant scorpion nonchalantly rained death down towards them. Subaru had tons of bad memories associated with that white light. Specifically, he had been killed by it in around half of his 15+ attempts inside the tower. Nevertheless, given that he had been killed so much by it, he did learn a thing or two, despite how much he despised it. Namely,
The time it takes to charge up, and the signs it shows when it's about to attack.
the scorpion's compound eyes and stinger both glowed a smidgen more when it was about to unleash an attack. These signs were subtle to the point he would think he was just seeing things, but this eye for survival was what Subaru had developed through his mortal trial and errors. Making full use of it, Subaru ran with Beatrice in his arms, taking it upon himself to close the gap between them and the giant scorpion. Reason being,
Its charging speed is pretty damn slow.
with a twist of his body, he dodged the white ray of light that had welled forth as he said that. Even though the ray of light had been dubbed slow, it was still much faster than a pitch performed by a shoddy high school baseball player. Fortunately, though, he was confident in his ability to tell whether a pitch was good or not. And in any case, there was no way he was going to stay alive without being able to do that. A great man had once said that life was all about trial and error, though he probably had not been envisioning these life-or-death situations when he had said that. Even so, one would learn by making mistakes. That was an immutable truth. Subaru, luckily, had the ability to go through trial and error in life-or-death situations. He had made full use of that to find his eye for survival. Thus, this was Natsuki Subaru's arena.
I'm sorry for not being able to live up to all your expectations of me.
Subaru dished out a heartfelt apology to his other self, who had sought out an almighty Natsuki Subaru. It was like he was saying to them, I'm sorry for only being able to fight dirty. Beatrice, though, still held tightly in between his arms, dancing this jig of life and death with him, reacted with a snorted, What are you talking about, in fact? You never failed to live up to our expectations, I suppose. Speaking up, Beatrice then raised her hand up in a flash. From her thin lips, she chanted the word, Marak, a kind of yin magic that tampered with the law of gravity. The giant scorpion had once been hit with its effects and pushed far away below them. So this time, the scorpion braced its jet black shell and planted its legs firmly as to prevent the same from happening once more. However,
You're just playing into my hands if you're gonna stay still!
a barrage of witch beasts began to assail the unmoving giant scorpion. The strange-looking witch beasts Melee had ordered the attack from were called feathered moles. They looked like what one would get if they crossed wings and horns together. And just like bullets that held no fear of death, they shot towards the giant scorpion and struck its tough shell with their horns without vacillation. The sounds of them crashing against it overlapped with the sounds of shattering. The giant scorpion writhed in pain and raised its large pincers in retaliation. What followed the attack in their stead was the most bizarre of all bizarre-looking figures, a being that was the very manifestation of a nightmare-ridden knight, a centaur, a cross between man and horse, the hungry Horse King. The terrible wail of babies swept through the watchtower's balcony. Along with it came a grating roar that made him want to cover his ears up, and then a burst of flames which violently filled the area around them, almost all the way up to the sky. The hungry Horse King did not hesitate and thrust its fiery spear right into the heart of the flames. Its red-hot tip would land a critical hit that would burn through even the scorpion's iron-like shell. The giant scorpion was overwhelmingly strong when it came to plain fighting strength. However, that did not mean attacks would not work against it. It felt pain if struck, just like any living creature. It felt pain if struck. If struck. Thus, the giant scorpion embodied the sort of mantra of everything being hunky-dory, so long as it was not hit. It caught the fiery spear with one of its enormous pincers and severed the hungry Horse King's arm in one swoop. The Horse King tried to regenerate its wound, but it had been ruthlessly cauterized by its own fiery spear. The squirming, bubbling flesh of its wound trying to regenerate itself stopped in its tracks. Subaru had been able to obtain an unnecessary tidbit from this, namely, that it would not be able to regenerate its burn. The hungry Horse King was now stopped in its tracks, but then the giant scorpion's stinger went off with a bang into the hungry Horse King's body, causing its large body to burst open from within. Flesh and blood scattered everywhere, and along with it, the hungry Horse King's life as well. Even the feathered moles who'd smashed against the scorpion's shell had ended up dead when their horn, which was fused with their head, broke. The way they fought by tragically throwing away their lives was one that could naturally be cursed as utterly barbaric. It would be wrong of Subaru to close his eyes to this and dismiss it as there being no problem because they were witch beasts. However, he also was not planning on glossing things over with all lives being created equally. Life had value to it. Without a doubt, there were differences in their value. There were clear differences in the way he felt about the weight of the lives of those who were precious to him and those who were not. He would not hide that behind any deceptions. That was why he would make full use of the witch beast's lives to win this fight. Therefore,
though you're doing the right thing, overlooking me, you're still making a big mistake!
With the witch beast vanguard repelled, Subaru confidently stepped through the floor, which was now coated red. Carrying Beatrice in his left arm, he drew out his whip with his right and swung it up. Dubbed the Guilty Whip, its blasphemous finishing touches had been done using the corpse of his former foe. Natsuki Subaru cracked it through the air, his super quick whiplash scoring a direct hit on the giant scorpion shell. The scorpion let out a thunderous cry and glared at Subaru with its red compound eyes. There were no signs that he had caused any damage to it, nor that it was feeling any pain. But he was fine with that. His aim had not been to inflict any damage on it. That had probably been why it had put off dealing with Subaru until last, after the other witch beasts. The Great Scorpion's decision was both right and wrong. We caught a big one, in fact! His whip had snared itself around the scorpion's shell, and with that, the scorpion's massive body would shoot up once he tugged with all his might, thanks to the recoil. This was made possible by the fact that the effects of Beatrice's yin magic were still in play, drastically decreasing the weight of the giant beast. The giant scorpion immediately tried to plant itself firmly on the ground. However, the vast quantities of blood and entrails at its feet made the conditions extremely poor for getting a firm grip. Subaru reeled the scorpion up in one swoop as it tried to cling onto the floor with its sharp talons. From an outsider's perspective, the situation almost looked like Subaru was swinging the giant beast about using some form of superhuman strength. But this grandiose spectacle on display had only been made possible thanks to Beatrice's help. And so he kept swinging the giant scorpion's body as much as he could with his whip, until finally he hurled it away.
Bon voyage!
The giant scorpion's body spun around in midair, carrying its supergiant swinging momentum. As it spun around uncontrollably, it tried to hit Subaru with a white ray of light, showing pinpoint targeting. However, Beatrice raised her hand up to knock it away. She materialized glowing purple crystals in midair and used them to shoot the white ray of light down head-on. As their coordination sprung to life, Subaru released the giant scorpion from his whip, and it flew away towards the sky once more.
This should buy us more.
Time, Subaru said, having found a reprieve out of this mess with this precarious attack, although he had to allow some concessions to win out in the end. However, or he could finish what he was saying. His eyes widened in surprise. Right before his eyes, the giant scorpion began to perform an astonishing feat of acrobatics as it hurtled away. With a slash from its enormous pincers, it severed its own tail at the root. Just like that, its tail flew away, scattering dark red bodily fluids in its wake. Yet, white ray of light was fired off from the very tip of it. It slammed against the now tailless scorpion and blew it back towards the balcony of the watchtower with tremendous force. All that work in making it lighter and practically weightless, and now it had made it back to the balcony, bringing a shockwave with it. It dug its enormous pincers into the floor to stop its momentum, before then pointing its glare at them.
Those were some acrobatics you did. But if that means you've lost your tail, then all the better for us. Hey!
The giant scorpion had landed and lowered its body, putting itself on guard as more darkish red blood poured out from its tail. But that did not mean its wound had not gotten any deeper. Quite the opposite, in fact. Its severed tail was regrowing from its stump. And it was not only its tail. The cracks in its shell that had originated from firing the white ray of light at itself, as to blow it back, were also bubbling away, visibly being filled in as well.
It's tough, smart, and heals. Aren't we just getting more and more of these unsure-like features?
Healing aside, Shala's body was soft, and she was not in the least bit smart. Nevertheless, the giant scorpion had shed all these traits, and was now coming at them with its overwhelming killing power. It haphazardly swung its newly grown tail about, releasing its stingers all around it into its surroundings. Its attack was a ranged one that showed no signs of its typical tells, so it was safe to say that it was the worst kind of attack for Subaru and Beatrice to be subjected to, given how much they lacked in strength.
Whoa!
Subaru! We'll have to fly, I suppose! They had no means to escape from the white rays of light the Scorpion had fired off, at least on terra firma. That said, a means of escape had presented itself in the skies. Beatrice quickly released her magic from the Scorpion, then cast it back, this time to Subaru. Subaru kicked off from the ground and jumped up into the air with all his might, trusting in his partner, regardless of whether her magic would actually work. The white rays of light began to shatter the balcony, with one of them just barely grazing his feet.
Oh, that was really close.
Don't speak so soon, in fact! They had literally jumped over the possibility of death, but they had no time for relief. The same thing as before had happened when Subaru and Beatrice had laid their attack onto the giant Scorpion. Escaping up to the skies meant that they had lost both their foothold and escape route. All that was left for them was to be destroyed by one of the Scorpion's attacks.
Bayako, Dokujina Maho, Part 2!
Although this trump card could only be used 3 times a day, there was no way they could risk messing up by not using it and dying as a result. The moment Subaru squeezed her shoulders tightly, Beatrice came to the same conclusion as well. She would have their special technique ready for deployment in a jiffy, which would make Subaru invincible for a set amount of time.
Whoa!
What? She and Subaru were grabbed from the side before she could cast the technique. Simultaneously, a white ray of light passed through the space they had been in a moment prior, almost evaporating them. The only thing that had saved them from that demise, and was keeping them from being pursued by the great Scorpion, was...
That was close. What even happened?
I suppose? Super checked to see what was going on as he clung on to something rubbery, and his voice caught in astonishment. Likewise, Beatrice next to his bosom also had quite the frown on her face. This was because the one who had saved them from the giant Scorpion's attack, and was still giving it all their all to protect them, was a mauve-colored, vicious-looking witch beast. A hungry horse king.
I never thought we'd be here fighting together at the Kakyo when I first saw you down in the underground.
In reply to Subaru's bluff, the hungry horse king let out an ear-splitting cry. His face tensed up at that. Then another hungry horse king pulled over next to them. Clinging to that horse king's back was Melee's small body.
It looked to me like you were about to pull out your trump card, weren't you? Try to be a little more careful. Oni-san's and Beatrice-chan's trump card is a lifeline for me as well.
These two Sabu, Yoi Sukadachi, you did well, Melee. Can we change the field of battle at this rate?
You mean you want us to change locations? Sure I can, but...
Then, please, go for it! We have too few escape routes here for starters.
Scanning the surroundings, Subaru decided to beat a retreat from the balcony, since there were not many places left to stand on. Tons of witch beast corpses were already littered about there, and with how things were, weird accidents would be prone to happen. Melee gave some thought to the efficiency of his decision and then nodded, clapping the hungry horse kings on the back with a "please." As soon as they heard her words, the 2 horse kings picked up their pace and jumped down from the balcony onto the wall of the watchtower. They began to run down it without wasting any time at breakneck speeds.
In
In fact, Subaru and Beatrice yelled out in tandem, hugging each other as they faced this unexpected rough ride. At the same time, though, he could only take his hat off at Melee for being able to tame hungry horse kings of all things and have them appended to their ranks. With the supremely powerful hungry horse kings at their head, the feathered moles flying through the skies, the colossal sand earthworms, the courtesan bears, and other countless witch beasts on the ground as their allies, they had quite a wide range of strategies available to them. It could be said that they were the ideal partners for Subaru, since his plan was to keep stalling for time by dishing out one delay tactic after the other.
We're really being spoilt for choice with how many ways we have to attack! Melee, you and I may be way more compatible than I'd ever thought!
Don't say that, Oni-san! I really wouldn't want Petra-chan and Beatrice-chan glaring at me!
As they galloped down the watchtower in vertical fashion, Subaru exchanged shouts with Melee, the latter clinging onto the hungry horse king's back. The latter gave Subaru a sullen frown in response to his casual chit-chat as she clung onto her hungry horse king's back. Her reaction slightly hurt his innocent male sensibilities, but right now was the time to ignore such trivial.
Round 2's gonna start when we drop onto the sand sea. She's going to come after me. So, for the time being, she shouldn't interfere with anyone inside the tower.
But we're still stuck without a way to beat her, yeah? No matter how much time we spend running around, we're not going to be able to grab a win, right?
Since they were in the Agria sand dune, they had witch beasts in endless supply. Thus, their witch beast ammo was never going to run out. However, all that gave them was the ability to continue waging their battle, rather than a surefire way to beat the Scorpion. Glancing over at Melee, sweat was dripping from her forehead, which she was wiping away at, and her breaths were slightly labored. That was in part due to how strange she was, being caught smack dab in between the hammer and anvil that was the battlefield. However, he could not help but think that it was also in part due to the feedback she received from controlling witch beasts, though this was something which Subaru could not really comprehend, since he did not hold a divine protection. There was enough of a chance for divine protection to become poison when overused.
Otto did joke about this, saying stuff like the world being hellish back when he couldn't control his divine protection.
Maybe those words that Otto had spluttered out when drunk were nothing to sneeze at. If divine protections became burdensome, like Otto had said, then there would be a limit to how much Melee could fight as well. Their defeat would instantly be set in stone were Melee to fall in battle. In other words...
Indeed, this battle will be decided by how much I coddle Melee as a princess!
What an inexcusable plan, I suppose! Right after Beatrice raised her eyebrows in response to Subaru's declaration, a shock ran through their entire bodies. It served as a sign that the hungry horse kings had reached their final stop, after running down the tower at breakneck speeds, meaning they had broken past the vertical wall of the watchtower and had once again arrived at the sand sea.
It's not like it's gone anywhere at the end of the day, but when you drop down to it, like this, it feels way more different.
How does it feel, in fact?
Absolutely awful. I hate how deserts are just full of sand. It reminds me of how I never liked the desert stages you often got in games as well.
Sometimes, depending on the game's system, the HP of his character would start ticking down by doing nothing but walking in the searing heat. This sand sea had nothing to do with the scorching sand he would find there, but even so, he did not have any fond memories of it. Made all the worse by the fact that they were surrounded by countless swarms of witch beasts.
Though, I know they aren't going to attack us.
A sickly sweet aroma that made him want to wrinkle his nose was wafting about, accompanied by a far worse beastly stench. He could pretty much say that the air around the sand sea was one of the crummiest in the world. Though, with the environment being filled with tons of witch beasts, some familiar, others not, perhaps witch beast researchers or whatever would drool over that. Unfortunately, it only made Subaru and his team feel uneasy.
So, what's your answer to my question?
Melee rode her hungry horse king over to Beatrice as the former shuddered. She wanted an answer to her question, to which Subaru glanced up at the tower and then replied,
It's as you say. We can't do anything about the giant scorpion. About Shola. That's why Amelia holds the key to everything.
Are you talking about that silver-haired Onisan from earlier?
Yeah, Amelia and the fifth rule are the key to everything.
Subaru gave the puzzled Melee a nod before sticking his palm up in front of her. He spread out all 5 of his fingers, marking the rules imposed on them as challengers of the Pleiades watchtower.
We can't leave without completing the examinations. We can't break the rules of the examinations. We aren't allowed to disrespect the libraries. We mustn't damage the tower. And finally...
Melee should have heard the first 4 rules, but she did not know the 5th. Shala had been trying to hide it, so only Subaru, who had returned by death, knew what it was. As well as Shala herself, of course. The 5th rule that Shala had zipped her lips shut and refused to tell them. That was...
It is not forbidden to destroy the examinations. Meaning, we can destroy the rules of this tower.
As challengers, the examinations constrained their actions. At the same time, though, the rules also constrained Shala's actions, since she was one of their examiners. Shala was bound by the rules of the tower, so even though she did not want to kill them, she could not escape from the fate that bound her to try and do so through her giant scorpion transformation. If that was the shackle that had been binding her for over 400 years, then... She's coming, I suppose! Immediately after Beatrice's voice of alarm, a great plume of smoke rose before Subaru, Beatrice, and Melee's eyes. An accompanying shockwave came from the giant silhouette that had leaped down from the balcony without any hesitation, rather than running straight down the tower. He could hear the heavy grating sound of its large pincers coming from the thick of the smoke. The giant scorpion slowly emerged from within, pointed directly at Subaru instead of the countless enemies around them.
Bayako, Melee, we need to buy some time. Amelia victory is our victory condition.
I get you loud and clear, in fact!
And exactly how long is she going to take to achieve that?
As fast as Amelia possibly can.
Amelia was always earnest and extremely hard-working. Thus, there was no way she would compromise or slack off with the problems they were facing. The results she delivered were always the best she could give, and with it came the highest firepower she could muster. Subaru believed in that. He loved that. He cherished that. That was why he was going to be able to stand his ground here.
Now then, let's do this! We're going to break fate! No, we're going to break the tower system!
I see. So that's why you're... Yeah, that's right. Subaru told me that I'd definitely find a way to rewrite the situation. If I were to go up to the very top of the tower.
Amelia focused on running as fast as she could, giving her only a brisk reply. She was holding Echidna in her arms as she ran, with the latter trying to make her body as small as possible. At first, Amelia had taken her by the hand as they ran, but being slowed down by her, she had ended up picking her up partway through, and she had remained like that ever since. In fact, it was much faster this way, and it strained her body far less, so it was a huge help. Even so...
Should it not be you who needs to save their strength? You have no clue whatsoever what's lying in wait for you, right? Huh? Oh, you don't need to worry. Anastasia-san's body is really light. And it's not like it's gotten any heavier even with you in it. It's no sweat off my back. My presence does not really have anything to do with Anna's weight. Like, not at all.
Faced with those slightly amiss answers, Echidna looked at Amelia, rather at the beauty of the unfamiliar half-elf as she felt the struggles within herself. This unfamiliar half-elf was one of her companions who had had her very name stolen away by the authority of Gluttony. Her circumstances were supposed to be pretty much like Julius's, but the way she was behaving was far different compared to him. Were their intrinsic personalities different? Or was it perhaps a difference in the people who were there to support them?
Does it not terrify you that you have been forgotten? It's really scary and lonely, but I don't have the time to sit down and curl up in fear, don't you think?
Amelia gave a brutally honest reply to that hushed question. The strength behind her change seemed like a testament of her mental fortitude, or perhaps it was down to some other factor. Amelia had said before, "I'm not worried because Subaru remembers me." Those had been awfully simple words out of a dream, yet at the same time, they seemed to be the truth. It was not clear what made Natsuki Subaru impervious to the effects of the authority of Gluttony, though, strictly speaking, it was not like even he was completely impervious to it. In fact, had he not said that the reason he had lost his memories had been due to an unexpected encounter with Gluttony? So Echidna could not say with certainty that Subaru's specialness was the main cause behind everything that occurred, meaning there supposedly still existed a definite possibility. A possibility of, couldn't they have protected their names and memories somehow? If they could have done that, then Anastasia and Julius both. When she stopped to think about how Julius felt, having been forgotten by everyone, could anyone even blame him for faltering? Though, having witnessed Amelia's strength after she had been placed in the same situation, she could not help but wonder what was different between the two. The difference certainly lay in who was at their side. The difference certainly lay in who was beside them, supporting them. Likewise, would it have been possible to keep Julius from crumbling if only he'd had some support? And shouldn't someone have been there for him, like Natsuki Subaru had been for Amelia?
What should?
I do. Echidna was unable to find an answer to that question within herself. It was so bad that she felt like this may have been the first time in her life as an empty artificial spirit, in which she had been at such a loss with herself.
Echidna? It's nothing. More importantly, is it true that you managed to find a way through Rita Strea's violence and pass the second floor's examination before? It is. It's really hard to explain now that you've forgotten.
Amelia gave her an adorable puff of her cheeks. But the fact of the matter was, she was embarrassed by how she had beaten the examination of that man, who was the very picture of violence itself. Echidna never for one moment imagined that she would be lying in this situation, and despite only knowing her for a short time, Echidna could tell that her nature was one not suited to telling fibs. So everything was surely true. It had only been for a few moments, but judging by how she had stood up against the giant scorpion on the balcony, there was no doubt that she was quite the capable fighter. So, the only remaining issue was...
So, you can find a way to fix a situation if you go to the very top of the tower? What is the basis for that?
Subaru told me he heard that the fifth rule was from Shala. Plus, Subaru's thought long and hard about this before coming up with the idea. So I'm pretty sure it's the right way to go about things. To me, it seems that idea is based on excessive blind faith, but if you're still full of doubts, we can address them. But I don't think now's the time for it. That and Echidna, didn't you come here because you believe Subaru as well?
As Amelia turned her crystal clear eyes over to her, Echidna was left at a loss for words. Seeing Echidna's reaction, Amelia gave her a smile that was tinged with delight, even if it seemed a tad out of place.
You see, my knight is really giving his all for us.
Amelia showed with her attitude that she was proud of the fact that their hard work was being appreciated. In response to that, Echidna likewise felt an odd pang of emotion. She placed her palm over Anastasia's flat chest and breathed out a sigh. These sorts of emotions are dangerous, she warned herself. They were completely irrational and out of place. At the very least, they were not something she ought to feel at a time like this. She needed to forget them if possible, and if not, then at the very least she should forget them for the time being.
Subaru's relying on me.
Echidna felt, amongst other things, envious of her. She, who believed so much in her companion, who was that much closer to her. Need to forget this present moment and focus on overcoming the situation we are in, she thought to herself.
Huh.
Amelia's long legs moved gracefully as she flew up the stairs. Then, after they had climbed up what should have been quite a lot of steps, a tremendous flash of silver came into view, scattering sparks everywhere. With their vision now unobstructed, they saw a battle unfolding wherever they looked. With his lilac hair aflutter and white uniform stained with blood, stood Julius Juculius. And the person he was up against was...
Whoa! Doesn't look like you can be doing anything about me like that, you prick. Ah, don't you go underestimating me, you prick, you prick. Did you come here to mess about? Ah, you prick. If you want to mess about, then go put on some damn makeup. Ah, when you do, I'm gonna step on you, bully you, and ruffle you about, you damn prick.
The very embodiment of violence, Reed Estrella let loose a nightmarish slash with the pair of chopsticks he held in his hands as he hurled abusive words. Practiced a danse macabre with the second floor as his stage. Theirs was a battle that transcended what humanity could fathom. Even so, the fact that Julius was far inferior in strength to him was something that was so sadly obvious that it could be grasped instantly even by the untrained eye. Dealing with the flurry of slashes and kicks coming from Reed, Julius countered by springing his knight's sword around and thrusting it into one of the gaps. His sharp thrust derived from extraordinary techniques seemed to be nothing more than a blur of light, yet Reed easily avoided it with a yawn, and that was with his eye patch blocking part of his sight. Looking on, stunned that Reed had avoided his thrust, Julius had a seemingly casual overhead kick slammed into his torso, with the soles of Reed's Zori digging straight into his abdominal muscles. Letting out a pained cry, Julius took a few steps back. Then, a blow from one of his chopsticks dropped down toward his head.
Get pulverized, you prick.
With a vertical slash, his slash, accompanied by a shockwave, cut through air, space, and reason itself. His sword slash was so overwhelming that ways to even express it no longer came to their minds. It was so beautiful that even though his weapon had been a chopstick, one could not help but be captivated by it, even if they were an amateur at swordplay. It was the pinnacle of swordplay, the very culmination of it, that which was what was being manifested there. A slash so beautiful that one would probably die from just admiring it. Julius leapt aside, dodging it, but the hem of his cloak did not make it in time and was swallowed by Reed's blade, evaporating. A vertical groove was left carved into the second floor of the watchtower, which was made of unknown materials, as if it were all a jape. And to make matters worse,
Oi, oi, ain't you being naive, thinking you've escaped with that?
Hup!
giving him a mocking smile, the air he had cleaved through warped and bent, with a gust of wind starting to roar. That moment, Julius, who had supposedly managed to jump aside, gulped and had his legs dragged as if they were being pulled back towards the torn space, back into the range of Reed's sword slashes. To their disbelief, this was due to a sort of gravitational pull from the torn space restoring itself. It was pulling Julius back after his narrow brush with death, straight into the range of the next blow. Reed's punch was thrown towards Julius, unable to move due to what was happening.
That's enough.
A split second before he released his punch, the sound of a chiming silver bell interjected between the two swordsmen. However, in contrast to the beautiful chime of her voice, the way she had joined the fight was rather audacious. Echidna became lost for words, faced with that extreme spectacle in front of her. Then, unable to conceal the suspicion in his voice, Reed looked up above him. Julius, on the other hand, opened his eyes wide in surprise, utterly speechless. They were looking at the strange thing that had appeared above them, a block of ice so mighty it covered the ceiling. This block of destruction, able to shatter even a dragon carriage into smithereens in one fell swoop, fell towards the two swordsmen. Reed and Julius's instant reactions were contrastingly different. Julius leapt away to avoid the airborne block of frost, while Reed curved his lips up into a smile and laughed. And with a fierce smile on his face, Reed thrust up one of his chopsticks at the falling block of ice. His raised chopstick collided with the lowest point of the falling mass of ice. By some miracle, the forces between the 2 points stood at an equilibrium with each other, causing Reed's chopstick to bend, albeit it still prevented the descent of the ice. Reed stamped his Zori down firmly onto the force of that action traveling through his chopstick, flowing into the ice block still being held up by said chopstick. A crack began to run up the block as his chopstick snapped in half.
Now, wasn't that something?
Reed spat those words out, and a split second later, the block of ice with a crack running through its center shattered with the blink of an eye. Chunks of ice began raining down, and while basking in them, Reed slowly turned himself around. Receiving the piercing gaze from his blue, uncovered eye, Amelia pointed her palm at him, with a look of resolve setting in on her face. Their gazes crossed each other's, causing Reed to ogle at her in surprise.
You're a real feisty one, ain't you? Oi. It ain't like I dislike women like you, but oh, what the hell, you toy? You're a real damn smoking, ain't you? Oh, you're smoking hottie. Why the hell's there such a smoking hottie chick in this middle of the sand sea? Come on, you're gonna be my opponent, you twat.
My apologies. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I do need to get Julius to beat you.
Amelia paid no heed to Reed's egotistic talk, and instead continued with a troubled look appearing on her face. Reed frowned at what she had said, but Julius was the one who was far more bewildered, having just been rescued. Though he had managed to escape from the block of ice that Amelia had unleashed, he could not hide his suspicion towards the fact that she had made a sudden appearance. Keeping himself at a distance from Reed, he turned his yellow eyes to look over at Echidna, who was standing beside her, spoke.
I get that she helped me, but who in the world is she, Echidna?
It is somewhat difficult for me to explain her identity. But if I may put it simply, she is someone in the same shoes as you, Julius.
What the?
Speaking those words, Julius stared at Amelia once again, his eyes widening slightly, probably because her features coincided with a being.
An elf, with silver hair and eyes of amethyst. No, I find it hard to believe that such a distinctive being would have suddenly turned up in the tower. Then, could it be that she is...
In light of the situation in the tower, as well as the peculiarities of her appearance, and the fact that her presence was nowhere to be found within him, Julius spontaneously felt a sense of incongruity within him. Julius had come to the answer by himself. Seeing his startled eyes, Amelia gave him a firm nod.
Julius, right now I know exactly how you feel.
Then, you are as well.
Given that they'd both had their names snatched away by Gluttony, Julius immediately grasped their circumstances, and as soon as he did, his conviction that Amelia was their ally appeared to grow. He stood in front of both Echidna and Amelia, protecting them, once again pointing his sword at Reed.
You have my thanks for helping me out earlier, but I still do not quite get why you two have come rushing here, considering what is occurring in the tower. What is happening with the Library of Taigeta, and with Miss Rem and the situation outside?
There is an attempt underway to try to bring these matters together, so to deal with them all at once. The idea is Natsuki-kun's, and the ones helping him are all of us here in the tower.
Subaru's? But he is...
A puzzled frown appeared on Julius's face. He heard Subaru's name wedged in the middle of the explanation. As far as he knew, Subaru should have faced Reed's Book of the Dead in the Library of Taigeta, and his consciousness was supposedly in a state of disarray for having made his return. Beatrice had told him that his return had been difficult. Thus, Julius had continued to fight against Reed, so that they could overcome the turmoil in the tower. Therefore, even if she were saying Subaru had woken up and had concocted this idea, it was possible to say it was only natural that there was no real link between spontaneity and recognition. Nevertheless,
I haven't got anything against y'all getting chummy with each other. Don't you pricks be going jabbering away while ignoring me.
the floor exploded with a loud bang, resulting in Julius receiving a blow from the intruding Reed's chopstick. Although he had lost one chopstick, he still had another one left, and it was not like he had to use them. Even if he were to fight just empty-handed, it was not as if his strength would diminish. While buffeted by Reed's sharp attacks, Julius rallied himself and focused on keeping his desperate defense up. Seeing that, Reed unleashed a blow with one of his hands, able to fell even a dragon. Literally. Simultaneously, he struck out his spare hand at Amelia as she searched for an opening, thrusting his fingers out at her.
I ain't got a clue what y'all are trying to pull, but I don't think I'm gonna let you do as you please, you twat. I'm gonna be your opponent after I'm done dealing with this novice. Huh?
Reed abruptly tilted his head in doubt mid-sentence. His head still inclined, he then brought his fingers of his spare hand to his eye patch atop his left eye, spitting out a venomous tirade prefaced with, "Oi, oi, oi, oi!"
The fuck you, twat. For some reason my hand ain't moving to stop you. Unless I've, suddenly become smitten by you. Oh, no way. You must have passed the examination.
Yeah, I did. You lost because you touched my chest with your chopsticks.
Now that's one way of losing that I can really get behind. What a huge voice that I can't even remember it, smoking hottie.
Reed clucked his tongue, his words indicating that there was some shackle on him that would not allow him to stop Amelia. That meant that the obstruction standing in between her and her duty was now gone. In other words,
Julius, I...
You may go, my lovely lady. You who, like me, are of unknown name.
Turning only his head around, Julius interrupted Amelia as she was about to say something. Seeing his knight's sword now held at the ready again, Amelia kept her silence at his word. Seeing the surprise on her face, Julius gave her a gallant smile.
You have your duty to carry out. I know it's something I shall not be able to help you with, but that is fine with me. I pray everything goes well.
Yeah, for you too.
Receiving Julius's encouragement, Amelia nodded at him and then broke out into a run. Bree did not make any attempt at stopping her. Letting her pass by him, the one-eyed red lion witnessed her take her leave. Then, as Amelia reached the front of the staircase in the innermost part of the second floor that would lead the way up, she stopped in her tracks, turned around.
It's Amelia.
Hmm?
My name is Amelia. Just Amelia. Let us meet again later.
Leaving her name behind, Amelia ran up the stairs with an air of elegance about her. Echidna let out a long sigh as she watched her disappear from sight. From here on out, Amelia's duty was to head to the top. So, Echidna's duty was to...
You are not going anywhere? Are you planning on watching me fight?
Only if you will permit me to do so. Well, no, I suppose not. I am the one who has decided to do that.
Glancing towards Echidna, who was standing by the wall, Julius then pursed his lips together. She took a quick gasp of air as she witnessed all kinds of emotions flitting across the profile of his face.
It's not like I can do anything. But if Anna were here, she would have probably done this. No matter where I am in this tower, I will always be subject to danger. Given that, I shall stand behind you out of my own volition, because you are Anastasia Hoshin's knight. Isn't that right?
It took a tremendous amount of courage to believe in something that did not feel real. It was nigh impossible to grasp just how much strength it took to believe in something that had no concrete basis, to the point that it would make her feel relieved, at least when compared to believing in something that was actually tangible. Regardless, Echidna spoke those words to the man before her eyes, his back facing away from her, while believing in that uncertainty. Receiving that, Julius lowered his eyes framed by long eyelashes. And with that, he let out a mute sigh, both deep and long, and...
You are able to give me more strength than you give yourself credit for. Merely from the fact that someone went and summoned their courage to believe and hold expectations in a me who may not be anyone anymore.
Julius.
For Julius, the footing he had lost had become uncertain. For Echidna, the bonds which she was supposed to know had become ambiguous. The two of them had to rely on something so shaky to build this relationship, which altogether differed to the one that they should have been bound by. Nevertheless, at this very moment, the two of them must have surely been seeing the same thing. So, for that reason...
Julius, I have a message for you.
A message?
Yeah. Everyone is fighting all over the tower, so... He said... Hurry your ass up and settle things here, then come out and help the others.
Echidna could tell that this was his kind of encouragement. Thus she conveyed it to him exactly as she had heard. Julius's slender shoulders tensed slightly after he heard it. And Julius digested the contents of the message, interiorizing it. His response following it was clear and dramatic. It almost seemed like he had let out a short, sharp gasp of air. But it was not like that at all. he had let out a laugh. He had breathed out a single gasp of air from the pit of his stomach to wheeze out that laugh. Had there been anyone here who knew Julius, this would have been something for them to marvel at. Julius Jaculius was facing battle with a smile on his face.
If he is broken out of his shell, then I must not lose here either.
His expression of determination was quiet, yet full of hidden zeal. Julius held his knight's sword aloft in front of him and faced his foe, his own self reflected in his blade. Reed had been lodging a bored look on his face for a while, but now he was grinning like a shark.
You really kicked into gear, didn't you, you prick?
Pardon me, but when it comes to fighting, I always take it seriously.
No, that ain't what I mean. You get it, right? Even if I don't spell it out for you, you prick.
With a grin still plastered on his face, Reed lifted his left hand. He flipped his eye patch up, uncovered his eye. Thus, with his perfectly functioning blue eyes, the zenith of all swordsmen pointed his cheerful, murderous intent towards his challenger. His fighting spirit was so formidable that anyone faint of heart would have been killed by the glint in his eyes alone. However, Julius met that sharp glint of his head on, and Echidna behind him likewise braced herself and endured it. Seeing the two of them endure the raging storm of his fighting spirit, Reed loudly clacked his fangs together.
Swinger Reed. Remember only my name before you disappear.
Exchanging one's name in battle before crossing swords was a sign of recognizing a warrior as their equal. There was no knowing how much Reed really cared about that norm, but regardless of what he thought, the considerations of the person who had been basked in that had changed dramatically. Taking a breath, calming himself, Julius stilled his raging heart and...
I shall give you my name once again. I am Julius Jaculius, one and only knight to Anastasia Hoshin-sama, royal candidate of the Kingdom of Lagunica. It is high time I give up acting the part of a nameless knight.
Spontaneously, so that it would be engraved in both his self and the world itself, he magnificently proclaimed his name. Leaving behind Julius and Echidna downstairs, Amelia resumed her running path up the steps. Her long legs were moving as fast as she could muster, skipping up the stairs 2 or 3 steps at a time. Though the speed she was going at was inordinate, her own thoughts were screaming at her to go faster and faster. Gritting her back teeth, a look of desperation was adorning Amelia's beautiful face and profile. She was worried about the two she had left behind downstairs on the 2nd floor. Reed was extremely strong, foul-mouthed, and a thug to boot. 2 of them could easily get hurt, both physically and mentally, by dealing with him. Naturally, Amelia's worries did not just stop at Julius and Echidna. Would Subaru, Beatrice, and Melee manage to keep Shaw in check? Would Ram be able to play her part too? Would Patricia keep guard over Rem? Her anxieties, such as whether she would be forced to rebuild all her relationships from scratch, having had her name eaten, were never-ending. She felt like she was going to burst into tears, were she to take a moment to stop. However, she did not stop. Neither did she shed any tears. She endured the tingling sensation at the back of her throat.
After all, nothing is over yet.
The fact that they believed in her, and that they were able to believe in her, was what was propping Amelia's entirety up right now. She was full of worries, brimming with anxiety, but she was also full of, "I believe in yous," which trumped over those emotions.
What?
As she continued to pour her heart and soul in running up the stairs, Amelia's amethyst eyes caught a glimpse white glow at the far end of her field of view. She realized that it was coming from the end of this extremely long staircase, and that it would lead to the unknown first floor. The moment she comprehended that, she firmly kicked off from the floor and sped up even further. Then, finally,
I made it out!
breaking through into the light, the staircase came to an end before Amelia. What unfurled itself before her eyes that instant was not an area that one could call a floor.
Huh?
Amelia stopped in her tracks, completely flabbergasted, and unintentionally let out a surprise at the scene she was faced with. Reflected in her amethyst eyes was not the next part of the familiar watchtower she had come to expect. The walls had disappeared, as had the ceiling. Spread out all around her lay the vibrant blue sky. Amelia was not standing inside the building, but rather she was outside. After running up the second floor stairs, she had ended up emerging right on the rooftop at the top of the tower.
The first floor? Is it outside? This place is even higher than the clouds.
There was a vast circular floor at the summit of the tower, bereft of any other partitions or anything that looked like a handrail at its edge. Therefore, she could easily look down below by going over to the edge of the floor. Clouds, which were supposedly far above in the heavens, were brushing against the tower. Amelia's breath caught as she realized she had come all the way up to the clouds, or possibly even above them. It was the first time Amelia had ever come to a place as high as this. However, despite receiving such a shock, she was quickly distracted by another profound emotion. There was a presence there that she had not been able to notice on account of how still and grand it kept itself. Amelia had been busy looking at stuff like where she was, the height of the clouds, and what the situation was like on the first floor. She had belatedly realized the being that had swept past the corner of her eyes. Then, slowly turning around, she let out a massive gasp. Even though Amelia had almost fallen into despair from being forgotten by the world, being robbed of her name, her heart had still stood firm in the end. But even that Amelia was lost for words in sheer awe. The being that had appeared before her eyes was beyond the pale of her imagination, to that much of an extreme, because that being was...
You're...
Thou who hath reached the top of the tower, step forth through the first floor, almighty petitioner.
Its voice was solemn, and it felt like he was being roared directly into her soul. Amelia became aware of the trembling of her voice. Was there anyone who could fault Amelia and call her weak-minded? No one would be able to. It would be impossible, because all living creatures had no choice but to prostrate themselves before this being. Because the name of this being was...
I am Volcanica. In accordance with the ancient covenant, I ask the will of thee who hath reached the summit.
With his huge body covered in glittering azure scales, the divine dragon Volcanica, looking down upon Amelia, while exerting a presence that seemed like it would blow even her very soul out of existence, so declared. Outside of the tower commenced the Battle of Shala, who had transformed into the giant scorpion against Subaru and the rest. In the second floor of the tower, the swordplay of the grinning wielder of violence, Reed Estrella, and Julius reopened. On the first floor of the tower, Amelia achieved an unforeseen encounter with the mighty existence awaiting there. And on the spiral staircase connecting the fourth floor and sixth floor of the tower...
even after stealing it and everything. It just feels like not having to put it to decent use, doesn't it? Jesus!
Spitting away in irritation, the young boy clicked his tongue whilst tearing at his dark brown hair. Upon swinging down the hand scratching his head, what had been generated therein was a beautiful, ornate sword shaped with ice. With the stolen name as the foundation, it was a special power which he had reconstructed, but contrary to its appearance, its regulation of mana was exquisitely arduous, and was quite difficult to use jointly with other memories. In the first place, combining the skills of multiple others required a suitable sense, and that was something which Roy and Louis were maladroit.
Well, it's because we excel in it that we are so able, but you know.
Even within the trio of siblings possessing the authority of gluttony, each one's way of utilizing the authority differed subtly. Amongst them, as one who took pride in being gourmet, the points he would like to object to in his younger brother and sister's ways were not few. Fortes connected to sense of superiority, though something like advice was unbefitting of him.
The message won't get across to dear cute Louis or that cheap Roy. It can't be helped. If the two of them are saying that they can't do anything, then it can't be helped. That means that we can thoroughly lick the feats present inside this tower down to the roots. How nice, quite nice, very nice. As it is nice, it is certainly nice. Surely it is nice, surely it is must be nice. As it must be nice, gluttonous drinking, gluttony.
Crunching the sword of frost in his hand, with his sharp fangs unraveled, Gluttony, Lai Batankaitos, decided to itemize all of the targets inside the tower for his own platter, without leaving a single one. Fortunately, the situation had been served. What remained was to simply select the order, and what was to be the main course.
Do you think you have the privilege to be choosing that? How very leisurely of you.
Upon the voice descending from the top of the spiral staircase, Lai ceased chewing the ice and raised his head. Overhead, on the 4th floor, were light crimson eyes looking at Lai, who was standing on the staircase between the 4th floor and the 5th floor. With the same hue as blood or blaze, eyes with terribly icy heat, were looking down upon Lai's ferocious hunger as if pitying, and...
From what was said, it seems you were the one who tore apart Ram and Rem's sisterly love, isn't it? Kindly die whilst baying like a pig.
And that's the chapter.
Yay!
Good job, Taildy.
Everyone did amazing.
27
Common, I had to
Mhm.
roll back in my seat after that. That caught me so off guard.
That was so good.
I really was like, wow, I'm in the presence of the divine dragon. What the fuck?
That was pretty amazing.
Holy shit, now you're sounding like a divine dragon.
Yeah.
I'm fixing my audio settings, so just give me a second.
Good
Oh
heavens.
my gosh. Thank you.
One.
Oh, thank you so much to who is this,
Let's
Leo?
see.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so
Leo.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's from Brazil. So thank you. Really cool.
Fun. Apologies everybody. As we started voice acting, realized that my voice is still slightly shot, so Amelia sounds a bit like a chain smoker today. She'll be re-recorded later.
Are you good for another chapter? You sound like you were straining a bit.
I was just trying not to cough in the mic.
Mhm.
I think I should be okay. Oh, thank you so much, Jay Dudley.
Oh, thank you so
Wow,
much.
thank you
oh
so
my
much.
God.
Holy
Oh, jeez.
moly.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Makes a world
It's
of difference,
pound.
everyone.
Thank you, thank you.
That's a lot of Mahunas and Canadian.
Yes. We'll be adjusting. I gotta go back to the past 3 or 4 streams and add it to the goals, so it will be adjusted for our next stream. Apologies for that.
Indeed.
Oh, and also thank you, Chilled Ice, for the snacky for comment.
Oh yeah.
Thank
thanks for that one, too.
you.
What?
We'll throw one down in the.
Oh my
down
gosh!
under.
We're
Sorry,
gonna be licking all
Chill.
the what?
Who was snack? Was that Commons munching the whole time?
I heard it, and
bag
it's like
crinkle
someone's got
somewhere.
chips.
Yeah, I was like, "Where's where?
Really?
And it's
Where the
distracting, but I can't look over.
No, I'm not eating.
I heard a bag rustle, and I'm like, I'm hungry. Who has the snack?
Yeah, there was a lot of wrestling and chippy chomping.
Connor, Green.
I heard nothing.
He heard nothing because it was him. Dun dun dun.
I have not eaten anything since 2 p.m. It
Oh
was
my
not
God.
me.
The only thing I heard was Connor typing sometimes. That's it. That's it.
Ha 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 ha! You got hit once. Ha ha.
But like,
I
The amount of
promise you,
times
I
Connor
promise you,
will
it wasn't
DM
my
me.
typing. I was muted when I wasn't talking.
What? The amount of times Connor has DM'd me though to be like, we can hear you clacking. Stop. Stop. Stop typing. Stop typing. I'm like,
Okay, I do not say stop. All I say is clickety clacks, and then that's the whole message.
That's what it means.
Clack, 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 clack.
You don't even
Clickety
need to send
clacks
the
in
eyes emoji.
parentheses,
The eyes emoji is just there
Shut the
straight
fuck up, Kyles.
Oh, no.
I missed speaking.
Nah.
It was hard to be silent for a week.
It was rough, buddy.
It was.
You really like the
Real
sound of
rough.
your own voice that
I
much?
do!
Wow. Wow.
That's
Part
why
being a
she made
voice
sure to have a chapter where she's
Wow,
just
wow, wow, wow,
talking to
wow.
herself
Wow.
for half of it.
Wow. Oh, for
Sorry,
shame,
buddy.
For shame.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, she got a word in with to pay way back when. That makes so much sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she queued it up.
I plotted this well before I started watching. You're welcome.
Yeah. Wait,
Eh,
are you to pay? Dun, dun, dun.
I mean,
Could you imagine? I would be loaded.
it does.
Gimme.
It doesn't help the allegations that your alter ego was named a character that hasn't appeared in the series until right now.
Ah, Candy has arrived! It is I,
Oh,
want
yeah,
Canada!
true,
Mhm.
Although I rebranded, so she's kind of dead. Sorry.
Aw,
no.
R.I.P.
She's
I-
not dead. She
rest
just
in
went back
peace.
to ReZero.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is-
she's
just
at the
come
top
back
of the
here.
tower.
She's retired with dementia.
Imagining just
Also,
a
apparently
100-foot
Went
tall
to the
Canny.
Divine Dragon Farm.
Also took a lot of testosterone, apparently.
Yeah! that
Just
voice was
being bigger.
insane, Colin.
Yeah, that was really fun.
I love
Yeah.
that voice changer.
I felt like Willem Dafoe. Divine Dragon.
Oh my god, it really is that Willem Dafoe meme from what's the movie, The Great Wall of China? It's yeah. Oh god, it's the Divine Dragon.
It's the Divine Dragon. Oh, great heavens!
Oh,
Oh
heaven.
good heavens.
Oh, have mercy on my soul!
Oh my gosh.
How did the tower not like fall by now? It
Just with
grows
the
so
voice.
heavy. Yeah, and
It's
then
just built
yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
It'd be
Right,
kind of
literally. Have you
crazy.
seen the design?
Yeah, it's huge.
So you're telling me a black shadow comes out and then the tower gets toppled. But when there's a big ass dragon on top of it, there's no problem.
Because Satella's OP. She
Yeah.
is top tier in this world. For some reason.
Unfortunately, or fortunately.
He found a big rock and they just built it around him.
They raised him up.
He's
You
just sitting on like
raised me up.
he's on a fucking Minecraft suspended
Oh
like
my god.
Yeah.
they just didn't break the floor beneath him, so and then the rest of the
Yeah.
tower's made out of sand because it's a desert.
I can't
So it falls, but his rock doesn't.
I can't
Nope.
believe Subaru was like, I hate sand.
Ugh.
It's
Okay, that was
coarse.
real though.
And
That was
Yeah.
kinda real.
Yeah.
Thank you, senior.
Thank you so
I
much.
hate desert
Does.
levels. So
Thank you,
true.
Senior.
So
Yeah.
It's so real.
Isn't it true though?
Oh,
Desert
hey!
levels are the worst.
My least favorite
Senor
Mario
Poop
levels.
Scoop.
Thank you, Senor Poop Scoop.
Thank
Gracias, Senor
you.
Poop Scoop.
De nada.
Subaru was real for that one. Subaru was so good at desert levels.
Yeah.
Nah.
No one likes
Sand
desert
with the
levels
minus
and
move
water
speed?
levels.
Yes.
The water, the
Oh
swamp
god.
level. Nah.
Nah, it's always the mandatory water level that has the worst swimming mechanics of like
Yeah.
anything you've ever played.
Or like the worst air gauge.
Oh my god,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Worst air gauge, worst move speed. Like,
Or like the slowly rising water and you have to hurry up and get through the
Oh
tunnel.
my god, no.
I hate those.
Or the
so
Genshin freeze
much.
one, where you have to go up the mountain, but you have to stay warm.
Ugh, fuck that mountain.
We
Fuck
could
that
just
mountain.
all blame Legend of Zelda for the beginning of these levels. It's literally all from Ocarina of Time that started it.
Fuck.
yeah. And then no one has like decided to make anything new ever since.
No, I would.
Everyone is just doing
Except the
exact same thing over and
the
over again.
Miyazaki Poison Swamp.
Oh, no, okay,
And
but that was
Claire
like holy
Obscure
shit in a different way.
Expedition 33.
Okay,
That's
I
some
know.
good
I'm,
levels.
I'm asking for it for Crimbo. Don't
As
spoil,
you should.
please.
We won't. Don't worry.
I'm
I
just
would not
gonna
do that.
listen to the music.
But the game, so good. Highly recommend if you have not already. Banger recommendation from Connor, who still hasn't played.
It's actually a recommendation
Don't
from my
offend.
best friend Amy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy.
I've heard the
But then I
game is
passed on.
right.
I've heard the
We
game is
thank Amy
sweet.
for
You
her
should play
great
it.
taste in video games.
Yes. All right, everybody, we ready for the next chapter?
Yes,
There's
I'm
a lot
ready
of
for a
grammar
little
issues in it. If
muty
you can give me
bake.
like 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Oh lord.
Oh.
Okay.
Are you sure? Like, you are coughing a bit. Will you be alright for this other one?
I only come in at page 12, and Amelia has like maybe 5 lines. I'm gonna lay on the ground until it's my turn.
Oh, goodness.
Just
Base.
laying down, relaxing.
On the ground,
Lay?
yes. Lay? Bad and Kaidos?
You're gonna lie
Yes.
down?
I'm gonna lie down on the
shit.
ground. I'm in the basement. It's my
Okay, I
turn
hope
now.
I
now.
fixed the audio.
It sounds a bit better.
I don't know what happened to this mic.
I don't know if it sounds a bit better. Honestly, he still
Use the
sounds
second
like
time.
Volcanica.
I don't know about that. I can't hear myself.
Is did you push in your which mic is it? Is it like a USB mic?
Believe so. It's a USB mic.
Okay, if there's no interface, yeah. Just make sure both ends of the plugs are like fully in. Usually the USB-C port at the very base of the mic gets loose, and sometimes the connection issues happen there. Or if you have a webcam plugged in, sometimes it switches to that, even though you have it set to your mic. Discord's been having that issue with me like crazy lately.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know that for sure. You know what? It could be the other thing. Now I gotta go to the other side of the computer. Give me a sec.
How large is the computer?
One
It's
Mississippi.
not that. It's that it's right on the wall, so that means that I
Yeah.
have to go under the table and fix that.
Okay. Okay, I was about- like, hold on, I gotta move to the other side of my laptop.
Hold on, let me get a snack for the trip. It's a bit of a trek.
Ayo.
Might have to ford a river.
Common, I got you by the way. Al, if Common just randomly poofs, you will be our lie for the time being.
Well, okay.
While you're narrating.
Yeah, that's fine.
It'll be fine.
I will keep
It'll
my
be fun.
eye out for Melee for you.
Ironic that
Okay,
Gluttony can get eaten at any moment.
Lie will sound like a horrendously high Joker, like the school play Joker. Like the guy who
School
said,
play
"Ah,
Joker."
Chica, baby.
Oh my
No.
god!
I know it anyway. It's fine.
Please, please, power, don't go out.
I'm the Joker, baby.
I'm the Joker.
Keep it
baby.
together, Power
Yeah,
Kun.
baby.
Hey, Kyles, real quick,
Hi.
can you get rid of the pinned message? It's probably scaring some people away if that's the first thing they see.
Chase, could you please
Oh,
get
yeah.
rid of the pin message?
What is this?
This stream has been pushed back to.
Yeah.
Currently
today,
live.
actually.
Pushed
Oh.
back.
Do you know
Yeah.
this stream has been pushed back into the future?
Well, no, that's right now. But
Well, yeah, I mean, like,
it would still, if
I
people
mean-
come in, they read that
Gaze
message
into
and leave.
future.
like unless like
Yeah.
transporting it 1 minute into the future every single time we like think about it, then. But like,
I like
it's
to
not
think-
because it's already on.
Yeah. Our viewers are the most literate out there.
Well,
I
would
know
like
for a
to
fact
think...
that's not true.
Oh my god! Are you
There are
this chat?
there are some, or
Slander.
even many that are. But based on some of the comments we've gotten, I know that is true.
That's fighting
Oh,
words,
under
chat.
the,
You
the
have to stand up for
podcasts?
yourselves.
Oh,
maybe.
The podcast sounds
Maybe,
great.
just on
Yeah.
some stuff on some
Yeah.
discussions.
Mayhaps.
If you feel
Yeah.
called out, you're the problem.
I've had a few comments under some of my ReZero speculations videos where they're just like babbling on. I was like, where did you get this? Like,
Where is this? I like the ones
Like,
where you could be like, but it literally just explained why that's wrong.
yeah,
like,
it's like directly
Mhm.
stated in the text.
Did we read the same thing?
Did you read a side story or something? Like, or was your
wrote
side
this?
story TikTok?
You know, that's probably more it.
If it's
Yeah,
a
it's-
People have seen
historian-
TikTok edits of
ReZero
toxic
book
ships and
talk
think
is
it's
struck
okay.
again.
Ugh.
It's like the second evolution of why doesn't he just like return by death and get stronger? You know, he trades and then he returns and then he trades again. Like,
Oh god.
He gets stronger the more he dies.
Oh my god. It's the dumbest stuff ever. It's like antithesis to how the fucking thing works. Ugh.
Try that.
He just like
Try that
die.
strategy out in Dark Souls and see how well it
Yeah,
works.
see how it goes. Yeah.
It doesn't. That's the answer.
It doesn't.
Many blood, sweat.
Why
and
doesn't he just
tears.
like grind? You know, like why doesn't he just go and grind? You know,
He did grind. He
just
grinded
like
for a
double
whole
jump.
year and leveled up.
Yep.
And now he's level 2 instead of level 1.
yeah,
Nice.
he always level 2.
He
He
needs to
might
find a
have made it
better
off of level
farming
0
spot.
actually.
Yeah.
Hey, he's starting from 0.
Hey.
Whoa! Whoa!
Hold on, we're already getting flagged for one song
Yeah, I
every
was about to
stream. We
say,
don't need another one.
silence! Oh my god, stop!
T-Boone.
If you haven't noticed,
you sing
chat,
it
we've been locked away for way too long. We need
So-
Sandstorm.
yeah.
You got that beat like crazy. Holy shit. You did not falter.
That's like
Yeah,
one
that
of
was
my
fun.
little skills. I can actually sing Sandstorm.
Do not falter,
Fuck
brave
yeah.
soldier.
That was insane, Tealdi.
Something that will never be useful ever, but I can do
That
it.
one we're getting flagged.
What makes it even funnier is that is probably the most impressed I've ever heard Kyle's. She's just like, whoa!
Hey, good
You
times.
know, that statement has crazy implications if you really think about it.
Down.
Oh.
That's crazy. Back to the basement where you belong.
Nah.
Accurate.
Al, you ready to narrate?
Connor, how close is
Yes,
the chat?
please.
Maybe. I also might be ready to be the Joker.
The joke, baby.
Oh god. Send help.
Everyone, ready up. Send help?
Over
No.
my dead body.
No.
Wait, are we actually ready to go, or did Connor say more time?
Yes, we're ready to go.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say anything. I was letting the last bit play out.
Fuck.
He's disappointed in all of us.
The dregs.
Group dad.
Okay, that should be the last cough. Thank you.
I am the second oldest one here, so probably yes.
Oh yeah.
Hmm?
I was about to fight you. I thought it was me, but you're older
Oh.
than me.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so's Tealdi. But
It's
Tealdi
true.
is confirmed many times.
Yeah, probably.
You actually don't know, but I'm like 74.
Well, Al plays all the old people in Arc
This is
7,
true.
so
He does, he
Yeah.
does not. He plays like one.
2! You got
That's
2!
Mm.
One of them's like he's like middle age. Maybe he's like 40 actually. No, he might be fucking
Oh,
old.
okay. It's the gray hair
That
that
is not
throws.
old.
No, he's younger.
So you have signed your
I
death
thought both of
warrant.
them had gray hair for a second. Sorry.
No.
So you have chosen death.
You know, old age
No.
isn't actually until 65, right?
Yeah, one of them is like
It's
70.
actually until like 90.
No, I'm like genuinely, it's classified as old age at 65.
Wait, real like
Seniors
yeah.
discount.
in the like the census?
Yeah, like that's
Seniors
when you are
discount.
considered old age.
When you get the
Middle
seniors
age.
discount, that's when it is. For us here, it's
I'm
63.
gonna go get my pension now.
I think
Enjoy.
young adult is up to 32, and then middle aged is past that.
Oh shit.
That might not be true, but that's what I remember from like middle school.
Okay, moving on before we have a second quarter life crisis.
Oh, shit.
Quarter and a bit.
I'll start best, please.
All right. Arc 6, Chapter 80. Death of the Mind. It was the scent of rage. Fragrant, rich, it was the scent of highly pure rage. Prodigiously churning the slender, petite body, he understood that it would uplift it to greater heights. Facing each other from the upper and lower ends of the spiral staircase, Bat and Kaidos laughed with sadness and gloom upon Ram's caustic remark. Breathing in the resentment and hatred she, the young girl with potent emotions conceived in her light crimson eyes directed at him, Bat and Kaidos tasted ecstasy. Should he state without giving much thought to selecting the wording, saying that this one breath was what he was living for would not be an exaggeration.
How nice, quite nice, very nice, as it is nice. Isn't it nice? As there normally aren't many people who'd face us with such an enraged expression, you see. It sure is a really valuable feeling, isn't it? Do you understand? We wonder if you do understand the delight which we're feeling right now.
Stepping on the ground upon expressing the vivifying emotion, Bat and Kaidos licked his lips. Indeed, this emotion and encounter was something Bat and Kaidos normally could not ever hope for. The memories and names stolen through the authority of Gluttony got disengaged from the world, with the exception of Roy and Louis. It became impossible for anyone to even be cognizant of them. The grief of having lost someone precious, the rage of being dispossessed, the hollow sense of loss, anything and everything had gone evanescent entirely beyond all help.
So naturally, that's a matter of course. That's why we've never minded it, you see.
Whenever he operated as a member of the much-loathed witch cult, on copious occasions would he meet humans who had directed their hatred towards his affiliation. However, never had there been one who knew of Libat and Kaidos' deeds, who harbored hatred for Libat and Kaidos individually, who aimed to kill Libat and Kaidos specifically. That natural divine providence brought forth by the authority of Gluttony, that obvious unwritten law, had been overruled, with the emergence of an outsider who did not sustain the effects of the authority of Gluttony.
Natsuki Subaru!
Whispering the name of the man Louis had been attached to, Bat and Kaidos attained a sweet ache in the depths of his slim chest. It was not as if he had taken influence from Louis. He had known about him even prior to that. He had been thinking of him powerfully, profoundly, far earlier than even Louis. That being...
Nesama will also understand, right?
The connection between the origin of the sweet ache in his chest and the young girl looking... Sorry. The connection between the origin of the sweet ache in his chest and the young girl looking down towards him was deep. No, not merely deep. Two hearts that beat as one, irreplaceable individuals. Saying that they were the other halves of each other would be unobjectionable as well. Thus, surely she would understand.
These sweet, fleeting, far too mighty emotions. This sensation blended with both love and hate and the ache within the chest longing for release. That was why he addressed with half his mouth open, pouring in that conviction and expectation.
Ram has already told you to kindly die whilst baying like a pig.
The subsequent instant, Ram's first move as she flew down after kicking the staircase made Lai jump far backwards. He had narrowly managed to draw his body back, but the fine point of the wand being pointed out had been accurately aiming for his eye. Should he be slow in pulling back his head, it would have ransacked his brain through his eyeball.
Jeez, Nessama is merciless! We had eaten this one just now. Forget about imitating the bay of a pig. We would have died unable to do anything.
Ram has reconsidered. If you were made to imitate something below the standard of a pig, then surely it'll be a real affront for the pig as well.
Flying through the spiral staircase, his landing was delayed solely due to the difference in the levels of stairs. Whilst apprising her chilling intent to kill, Ram's furious assault waged a pursuit of fierce vigor towards Baton Kaitos. Whilst gyrating her slim figure, Ram pointed out her wand, fired a kick, drilled in a shot of the elbow. Baton Kaitos dodged them entirely through the handling of his body, but things like the hit which had grazed past his ear possessed the vigor that, upon a single hit, would certainly lead to loss of faculty of that part of the body.
Scary! It's scary though, you know?
Baton Kaitos laughed whilst using his body to evade the unhesitating strikes in pursuit of him. That was not flexibility, but exaltation. No, slight flexibility as well. Ram's martial arts were quite something. Lacking all forgiveness, she possessed no faltering in her aim to kill. Yet Baton Kaitos dodged with leisure and ease. The reason for that was quite simple.
We already properly know that Nessama is more amazing, you see.
The multitude of memories terminated and packed together within Baton Kaitos. Within them was a passionate one which adored Ram as an older sister, which yearned for her infinite potential. The untiring trust and expectation towards Ram which these memories were endowed with conveyed their contrast with the Ram before his eyes nearly to a sorrowful extent to Baton Kaitos. To summarize,
Nessama without her horn is nothing but a counterfeit which even Ram can't substitute for. Isn't that right? Did you get angry? Have you gotten angry? If you want to get angry, then you can get angry perfectly fine, Nessama. Now that we think about it, we've never even had a proper sisterly quarrel before, you know?
Baton Kaitos spoke of memories as if they were his own to share. Though Ram's cheeks stiffened in reaction to his speech and conduct, her attacks did not slacken. Baton Kaitos admiringly thought within his innermost heart that she really was quite pushing herself. It was famously known that Onis who lost their horns lost their bodily control, though it was unclear how much anguish it entailed. Ram had also been continually tormented due to that penalty. It was unknown just how many times the thought of wanting to take over her pain had come to mind. However, alongside that also came another thought, that oneself would not be able to endure the anguish she bore. If the agony of losing the horn depended on the strength that the Oni originally possessed, then Ram had certainly possessed the greatest in that regard, which no other Oni in the world could share. Thus, commendations were due to her onrushing form by way of her own determination through that compelling anguish, and gratitude was due to her earnest wolfing stance with that unruffled facial expression. With the ripening of the greatest supreme premier flavor, to simply whom should he express his delight for being witness to the moment the rich aroma rose, he did not know. He hailed gratitude and admiration towards the miracle of coming across this gourmet delicacy.
Ah, truly! Naisama is so wonderful!
A murderous dance blended with love and hate unfolded upon this. A murderous dance blended with love and hate unfolded on the spiral staircase. Whilst tasting that to his heart's content, Baton Kaitos blessed Ram's existence, and tilting his body, turning over, stooping down, dodging as per the memories craved.
Now with the ta-da! Counterattack, Chico!
How truly noisy!
Surrounding Ram while she pointed out her wand, Baton Kaitos aimed for her fair neck. His side, which had gotten into her undisputable blind spot, and Ram's line of sight entangled when she turned around. At that moment, feeling intimidated, Baton Kaitos interrupted the strike and flew in with evasion and escaped. However, the instant after the wind grazed past his right cheek, he felt blood starting to drip. Tracing his cut cheek with his hand, Baton Kaitos inhaled faintly. It was a wound he was not supposed to sustain, at the very least. The memories present within Baton Kaitos, if he were to abide by the existence of who best knew the prodigy Ram, then a future in which he ought to have sustained this wound did not exist. Yet.
Though Ram told you to bay disgracefully, an unsightly opponent's voice is also rough to hear. Ram's not intend to keep you company any longer, so you will be getting killed.
Naisama! This is...
If you had been evaluating Ram relying on the memories, then your evaluation is yet too naive.
Looking at the Baton Kaitos after he stained his cheek with blood by his hand, Ram gently brushed her pink hair, with a dreadfully cold sidelong glance towards the side.
Were you intending to bring out Ram's true colors? If that's the case, then this is quite laughable. Ram's potential is infinite, after all. Ram is Rem's Naisama.
A baseless, careless remark, the reason why it echoed with such extraordinary... A baseless, careless remark, the reason why it echoed with such extraordinary persuasion was because that was how the memories, present within nobody but Baton Kaitos, had captured the existence of her older sister. Recognizing that reality, Baton Kaitos erased his smile and distorted his cheeks in annoyance. Boring, uninteresting. She did not get it.
Both rage and hatred are spices for enhancing flavors. But if the taste of the spices is too strong, if it asserts itself too powerfully, then even that platter will go to waste. Guess Naisama, who doesn't cook, would be completely clueless about these customs.
That's not true. There's nothing to hide. Ram's special dish is steamed potatoes, after all.
The memories, which had vivid recollection of that, resuscitated and his stomach growled, intentionally ignoring that call of the sense of emptiness and hunger in his stomach. Baton Kaitos casted his mood to play around his side. Ram was still yet to demonstrate the true worth of her strength. In other words, that meant not, but that she had not revealed everything, even to the younger sister who was physically quite similar to her. In other words...
Naisama won't even trust her little sister? Talk about the ultimate individualism, isn't it?
What a superficial way of understanding things. Ram does not know how many human lives you have tasted, but even those people do not come to mind. Everything aside from Rem is trifling.
Repudiating Baton Kaitos' outlook on meals, Ram straightened her light crimson eyes, and whilst caressing her own slim chest.
Kindly exert yourself as much as you can, Barasu.
Calling out to the young boy not present here, extraordinary determination levitated across her cold expression.
Though having something like a shared destiny between us makes Ram shiver.
He took a deep inhale with a cloth covering his mouth, protecting him from swallowing the sand. If he were to be honest here, then he would have preferred to have goggles as well, but that would be a hope too high. prepared to have grains of sand fly into his eyeballs, he had no choice but to simply be careful about his eyes within the vortex of the sandy whirlwind.
Berko! Melee! We've got to pull through!
Betty knows, in fact!
Jeez, you really don't know how to trust people!
The one traversing through his vision. The one traversing through his field of vision blurred by the sand was a fiendish existence clad in a jet-black shell. Approaching closer and taking a single attack by its great pincers meant for forfeiting one's life. Approaching closer and taking a single attack by its great pincers meant forfeiting one's life. Taking distance, and should it succeed in its efforts to fire its tail stinger, meant forfeiting one's life. There were multiple other conditions of forfeiting one's life as well. In terms of simply conditions of defeat, there existed more than plenty. That was what their situation was presently.
With that being said, that's what always happens.
Natsuki Subaru's battles were a continuous series of tightrope walks. The reason why he suffocated despite knowing the future through return by death was because the abilities he possessed were always so disproportionate to the sheer magnitude of the enemies he confronted. Lacking cards to play was his omnipresent scenario, whilst trusting everyone's strength, expecting that they would adapt to the situation's requirements and fight. Subaru himself struggled hard, a befitting answer to everyone's expectations of him.
Rather than a fight of my own, this is a fight of my wonderful comrades!
Is this really the situation to say that? Jeez, do your best, Hungry Horse King-chan!
Receiving Subaru's balonious yell, Melee, who was racing right next to him, issued orders to the witch beasts, the Hungry Horse Kings. The witch beasts, akin to centaurs, screeched a cry like that of a child, and the two of them carrying Subaru and Beatrice and Melee respectively rushed through the sea of sand. And the one in pursuit of their backs as they fiercely kicked the sand was the titanic scorpion as it scratched the sand with its several legs, giving rise to a cloud of dust resuming its hounding. Just as his instinct had told him earlier, should they distance themselves from the tail slinger, should they approach closer, then the enormous pincers would come for their lives. Whilst keeping a distance neither too close nor too far, they dealt with the enemy's attacks. Compared to the conditions of defeat he had listed, the sole condition of victory permitted to them was a change at the extremity of the battle to a delay. Compared to the conditions of defeat he had listed, the sole condition of victory permitted to them was a change at the extremity of a battle to delay. It referred to Amelia capturing the first floor of the tower and the rewriting of the cited rules. As a matter of fact, he had not even confirmed whether that was an actual possibility.
If that's not possible, then it'd be strange to have that included in the tower's rules in the first place, I suppose.
Exactly, Berko. Going out of their way and having you can also destroy the rules, including in the rules, means that the rules are premised on the fact that they'll be destroyed.
And if that was a possibility, then it would perhaps be a reward given to the one to capture the tower. Should that be considered, then it was a right only given to the one who had cleared everything with proper means. It was an immense relief that Amelia had truly broken through Reed. Had she not been victorious, then the means to save Shala perhaps would not even have grazed past his hands.
Though, I'll never forgive him for sexually harassing Amelia Ton.
Though it was infuriating to even look back on, Julius had been charged with retribution when it came to Reed. Expecting that he would fully overwhelm that violent man, Subaru caught the enormous watchtower within his field of vision and entrusted himself to the fierce struggle Beatrice and Melee were putting up.
Honey-san, it isn't really easy to move in this spot. I think it'll be easier for the witch beast chance to rampage in a place further away from the tower.
I get what you're saying. I get it. But no, I won't get away from the tower. If I get any further away, then I won't understand.
Rejecting Melee's appeal, Subaru gnashed his molars whilst grabbing his chest. Corleones's effect resumed, and the locations of his comrades within the tower were still within the sphere of his grasp in the form of fleeting lights. However, he did not know what possible cause this authority with far too many uncertain facets could come undone. In terms of the authority's effects, what was the easiest to perceive was indeed distance. In reality, Subaru did not know the locations of his comrades outside of the Auguria sand dunes. If that was due to distance, then it was unknown how far he could get away from the watchtower. He was afraid of losing the ability to confirm the locations as well as the well-being of his comrades. However, the greatest issue was not their well-being, but losing the ability to shoulder their burden. It was a matter of course that Amelia or Julius had exposed their bodies to grave battles, but what further had an eagle grip on Subaru's heart was Ram, who was out for vengeance. Though he was confident that he had deployed his comrades to their respective utmost suitable positions, he had anticipated from the very beginning that even amongst them all, Ram's fight would become particularly dire. That was because her opponent was Lybat and Kaidos, the originator of turning Ram into a sleeping beauty in Ram's own condition. Ram must be in perfect shape and form, otherwise she would not be able to oppose Lybat and Kaidos. On top of that, he wished for Ram to beat Bat and Kaidos down to her heart's content. For that purpose, Subaru was required to shoulder the burden she continuously suffered. That was precisely why.
I can't just forcibly get away from the tower. Sorry for being a handicap, but please, compromise!
This is absolutely definitely going to come back to bite you later!
Rounding her lips upon Subaru's call, Amelia shouted with a red face atop the hungry Horse King's back. At the same pace, the young girl glared towards the sky and clapped her hands toward the existences circling around in the blue, cloudless sky.
Feathered Molchans! It's showtime!
Receiving the shrill command, the tiny shadows soaring in the sky swooped down towards the sand sea. Seeing they were aiming for the titanic scorpion atop the sand, Subaru instantly shouted, "Byakuo!
Match him with them!"
Betty knows, in fact! Vita!
Presuming Subaru's aim, Beatrice put her tiny palm towards the sky. The chance effect was invoked. However, its aim had not been directed towards the titanic scorpion, but towards the feathered moles which had set their eyes upon the titanic scorpion. In the course of the descending feathered moles, there was a loop of pale light produced. The moment the feathered moles passed through that loop, the small-sized witch beasts accelerated, clad in light. The piercing strike drilled into the outer shell of the titanic scorpion, giving rise to a violent note. The titanic scorpion, which had been accepting the battle cries of the feathered moles like a gentle breeze up until now, stopped its multiple legs upon the direct hit, possessing unignorable might.
What was that just now? Beatrice-chan, what did you do?
Made your witch beasts heavy right before they collided, I suppose. Their speed or solidity won't change, but the result changes with a simple increase in weight, in fact.
Beatrice responded to Millie's astonishment. That was the answer to the reason behind the sudden enhancement of the feathered moles. Force was a mix of weight and velocity. Feathered moles navigated underground using their potent horns, the risky assault of the witch beasts which flew about in the sky and the underground at will decisively halted the steps of the titanic scorpion with unbelievable destructiveness. The titanic scorpion's defensive capability was quite impressive, but it was unable to defend itself completely against an attack it was witnessing for the first time, and in order to surpass that reflective defensive capability, Subaru fully rotated his head.
I feel bad for the witch beasts, but it's a trade-off between life and time. There's plenty of quantity and varieties of witch beasts that can be used. With Bearco's assistance, the possibilities are infinite! This way!
They can succeed! That definite response made Subaru clench his fist and Beatrice's hair. Beatrice responded with an, "It hurts, I suppose," raised her voice in protest, and that was when.
Huh?
With a plan to buy as much time as possible, Subaru split out a voice whilst looking up towards the watchtower. Hearing his vacant voice, Beatrice turned around saying, "Subaru!" but he remained unable to respond. What was brought to Subaru's consciousness was not the visible exterior of the watchtower, but its interior. the interior of the tower, whereby he could sense fleeting lights at various locations, the reasons being the responses of his comrades. Likely, it appeared each one of them must be engaged in vehement battles amongst them. A single... Likely, it appeared each one of them must be engaged in vehement battles. Likely, it appeared each one of them must be engaged in vehement battles, but amongst them, a single one's response vanished. The response of Amelia, who was heading to the top. That moment, Subaru's heart throbbed so intensely as though it were about to explode. The reality that Amelia's response had vanished threw Subaru into a state of chaos. What if, within the couple of moments just now, Amelia had been lost?
Calm down, you damn idiot!
He halted his vision from blackening through a reprimand of his own. This was far too early to despair about reality. He needed to trust Corleonis' ability more. Although its origin laid in the worst kind of a man, now it had blossomed, this authority was an ally. Based on the responses of Corleonis until now, it could be assumed that the intensity of the fleeting light's warmth and movement conveyed the status of his allies. When they became violently worked up, the colors and intensity of the lights changed. The opposite applied as well. Then, did the disappearance of Amelia's response refer to her death?
If that's the case, then the rate at which the response disappeared happened way too instantly.
If it were to be assumed that Amelia had encountered an enemy so fearsome it was able to extinguish her existence in a single instant, even if she had fallen victim to that, he could not imagine her being taken out without resistance. He could not imagine, neither did he want to. He had belief. That was why the problem perhaps lied somewhere else. Rushing up the watchtower, Amelia had headed towards the first floor, and something had happened, which made her body go out of the range of Corleonis' influence. Thus, in but a single instant, Amelia's response had disappeared from Subaru's perception. He must believe so. Otherwise...
Subaru! Honey-san, this is no time to space out!
Gnashing his molars and gums, Subaru kept himself in check through pain as the two young ladies called out to him. Hearing them, Subaru responded with, "I know," such that both himself and they could hear it.
I have no idea whom she may have to confront and where, but I believe that she'll make her way back.
At the same time as when Subaru had pronounced words of prayer far below in the sand. Though Subaru had said that he did not know whom she may have to confront, there was no way that even Subaru's imagination could have predicted the situation Amelia had been placed in. Abiding by Subaru's command, Amelia had headed to the first floor in order to rewrite the rules of... Abiding by Subaru's command, Amelia had headed towards the first floor in order to rewrite the rules of the Pleiades watchtower. What she had encountered had been an azure, shimmering, gargantuan existence clad in scales. An existence whose name nobody was aware of in this kingdom of Lagunica. No, in the entire world. If the Witch of Envy was regarded as the symbol of fear, then it was the befitting symbol of hope and faith, for this existence had continued to accumulate meritorious deeds of such scale for the world. The name of that gargantuan and grand existence?
The Divine Dragon Volcanica?
Ruminating the name it had given for itself, Amelia felt her entire body run cold. Though, a strange thing to say, Amelia's predisposition was entirely detached from nervousness, though of course she felt her body be heavier when she had to stand in front of people or when she had to talk about something crucial, but upon undertaking practical action she would immediately forget about their effects. On multiple occasions she had been praised by Subaru or Ram for having that impressive quality. However, despite possessing that impressive quality, Amelia's physical movement had ceased completely before the Divine Dragon, such that she felt she could not take even a single breath without the opponent's permission. To such an extent, the presence of a true dragon was projected and seized its grasp upon the world. Whilst inhaling, Amelia once again glanced at Volcanica's frame. Scales with a deep tinge of azure were shimmering like jewels, and every single one of them appeared to have been tempered thoroughly, as if sharper than any treasured sword. Its forelimbs and hind limbs were endowed with black claws akin to stone. Its face, similar to that of a ground dragon, gave the impression of having lived for long, donning a pair of golden eyes that had witnessed an unfathomable amount of time. On its head were two enormous horns, which were white like fresh milk. The divine dragon's stature was likely about 15 or 16 meters in height. Since it was not standing and it had its wings and tails folded, its exact enormity could not be determined, but because it was this gargantuan, it was to be expected that it could not fit inside this tower. It was unquestionable that the first floor had been constructed in an open location because of Volcanica.
The third floor was Sage. The second floor was Reed. And the first floor is Volcanica? Could it be that all three great heroes from antiquity are involved in the tower's examinations?
Looking upon the examinations up until this point, Amelia discovered a similitude between them. The three great heroes. They had formerly made efforts in the sealing of the Witch of Envy, and were three heroic figures engraved into the history of the Kingdom of Lagunica, those being Shala, Reed, and Volcanica. Furthermore, Shala had stated that it was actually an achievement of Flugel's, but Reed was... Furthermore, Shala had stated that it was actually an achievement of Flugel's. Reed was incredibly violent and talked crudely, and Volcanica was not a person but a dragon. But if they were yet connected in this place, then...
To still be friends after so many centuries? That's really wonderful.
Amelia thought it was a very wonderful thing if something like commitment or unity had tied the three heroic figures together. On top of that, Volcanica was the existence which had pledged a covenant with the Kingdom of Lagunica, and as a matter of fact, when a black dragon had been rampaging within the Kingdom of Lagunica multiple decades ago, it had been recorded that it possessed extraordinary power. Amelia loved those who viewed promises as important. She believed that upholding promises was a very nice thing. She cherished and trusted Subaru, but she believed his characteristic of not holding up promises was no good. What if Beatrice started imitating him? Oh, neither did Amelia wish to scold Subaru and Beatrice for breaking promises.
Whoops! This is no time to be thinking of that. Volcanica! I came here to take the examination. The examination of the first floor. I'll tackle it. I don't know how tough an examination it will be, but I ask you to hurry. I must hurry or Subaru and the others will be in trouble. Whatever it may be, bring it on.
Striking her cheeks with her hands, Amelia reorganized her cowering emotions. Without even planning so, thinking about Subaru and Beatrice made the root for that. Even if they were to be scolded by Amelia for breaking promises, that was speaking of a distant tomorrow, a distant future. In order to come face to face with that future, Amelia needed to stand firm here. The silent divine dragon was intently watching Amelia with its golden-hued eyes. Speaking without exaggeration, those eyes felt deep enough to absorb her entirely. It had fought the Witch of Envy and forged a covenant with the Kingdom of Lagunica 400 years prior, but the time this great dragon had lived through appeared to be far greater than those 400 years. Those eyes, perhaps close to reaching 1,000 years of age, were intently gazing upon the world. It was unknown in what way Amelia's existence would be projected to this divine dragon.
I am used to being judged. There are people who hate me because I'm a half-elf, or meanies like Echidna. But like Subaru, Ram, or Beatrice and everyone else, there are also people who have laid their expectations on me.
Whilst addressing, Amelia touched the crystal on her chest with her fingers. Her family, who was yet asleep, was the first one to affirm Amelia, who largely looked through rose-colored glasses like this. With that family of hers as the beginning, and this tower were her comrades who had accepted Amelia.
That's why I don't care no matter how you look at me.
Before the divine dragon, she had been overawed by once, Amelia declared sharply. Even the existence known as Amelia, who had been crushed by the contrast and presence, whose limbs had been quivering and cowering, who had been overwhelmed by the existence acquainted with eternity, would no longer lose. No matter what, she would not lose. Amelia strengthened her fist and made her amethyst eyes glitter with might. Whilst being showered with Amelia's great gaze throughout its entire body, Volcanica slowly blinked. Afterwards, Volcanica moved its dragon jaws with grandeur.
Now hath reached the top of the tower. Step forth through the first floor, almighty petitioner.
Huh?
I am Volcanica. In accordance with the ancient covenant, I ask the will of thee who hath reached the summit.
Huh?
Amelia, who had packed her breath and put herself on guard for the challenge Volcanica may ask her of, heard the cumbrous words accompanying the dragon's breath and tilted her head, for she had remembrance of these words.
Hadn't you told me that earlier? That I'm the one who arrived at the first floor, and that you're Volcanica. Is that right? Did I not introduce myself by chance? I apologize. I am Amelia. Just Amelia. Well, there's many people right now who don't remember me, so it'll be a problem if you ask me to prove it, but I'm Amelia. Still no good?
Thinking whether her omitting her introduction had brought its displeasure, she reintroduced herself, yet no positive change was born in Volcanica's response. Had Subaru been here, he would have gone so far and thought that skipping one's introduction would lead to the revocation of the right to take the examination of the first floor, but Amelia did not think that way. Amelia believed that even if a mistake were to be made upon apologizing, the other person could not continue being so heartless. Thus, even at this instant, she did not believe her impoliteness had bought Volcanica's silence. What Amelia had thought of was the possibility that Volcanica was not angry, but even if that were to be the case, then it might have been much worse than simply being angered. After all,
Could it be?
gazing back into its golden eyes, Amelia timidly moved forward. 1 step, 2 steps, resuming her walk in a place close to the sky, she shortened the distance between herself and the divine dragon Volcanica. Amelia inched closer as it breathed, that too, with magnificence. And gently stretching her hand forward, she touched the scales of the other being's front leg.
Cold.
The scales she touched were cold like ice, or like steel which had cooled down. Just how long a duration one would need to remain stagnated to lose this much heat. It would not mean biological death. Those who remained stagnated for a long duration simply lost bodily energy.
Thou who hath reached the top of the tower, step forth through the first floor, almighty petitioner. I am Volcanica. In accordance with the ancient covenant, I ask the will who hath reached the summit.
Whilst gazing down upon Amelia, who was touching its foreleg, Volcanica repeated once more. Words of reception that had been repeated and stockpiled exactly thrice. They were not with the purpose of condemning the mistake Amelia had made with her greeting. Volcanica's eyes, which were profoundly staring at Amelia, were reflecting her as if not reflecting. Volcanica's eyes, which were profoundly staring at Amelia, were reflecting her as if not seeing her. The reason was evident.
Could it be? You became such an old uncle you forgot about the examination?
Not the death of the body, but the death of the mind had hunted the long-lived dragon, and for Amelia, who must And for Amelia, who must clear the examination of the first floor, it befell as a challenge beyond the examination of the first floor. The Great Library Pleiades, the examination of the first floor Maya, time limit, the time for survival of her comrades, number of attempts unknown. Challengers 1, content of the examination unknown.
Examination start.
And that's the chapter. Holy fuck.
Wee-woo!
Oh.
Good job, everyone.
That was, So I'm rusty, but holy fuck, some parts of that chapter I was just like, what? What are
It's
you
rap!
talking about?
It's rap! That last, huh? Fucking got me.
Huh?
Reflecting her as if not reflecting her.
My first stumble. That one was not a stumble. That was me having checked the fucking chat previously and seeing fucking Evanescence because I went. Fuck! I said Evanescence instead of Evanescence. And I can't say it. I can't go back because they started saying the next line. Damn it! And then I looked at it. And I went, that's fucking stupid. And but holy god, some of the other ones. Oh my god. The amount of times fucking whilst was said there were bro. I got my American beyond fucking college level reading level back in fucking high school. This shit, like I usually know even the unusual words that are in these chapters. I didn't know some like what are you talking about with some of these?
Arc 6 is written in a way that defies the rules of English literature on occasion. Like, it's written well, but then sometimes there's breaks in the grammar, and you go, what the fuck? And then you're like, wow, I really know this rule very well in my heart. To the point where, what the fuck am I gonna do when I encounter something out of the blue? Like, she glared, or she could see herself, though he couldn't see her, or whatever that line was.
Yeah, I was like, what are you? What is this trying to say? Like,
and also to be fair,
monologue. It felt like I was reading her brain.
to be fair, too, reading something just on a paper and then reading it out loud are very different.
Yes.
Incredibly.
Yeah.
Like there's stuff you can like do it in your you can do it in your head. It's like, oh, I understand what that is, but actually saying out loud, you're like, oh wait,
Like, mouth just stumbles. I mean, I know I'm rusty because we've been out for like weeks, but like, holy
fuck,
mouth brain bridge broken.
There was the amount of times it said whilst.
Oh yeah.
I was just like,
whilst.
oh please don't be whilst.
Freaking whilst.
Whilst.
And then fucking overestimate. Oh my god. Trying to say that like fast, it was like, ugh.
I've also noticed in a lot of these, because I ran into it in the Overlord translations too, there's a lot of in other words.
Yes.
That they always tend to go to.
In other words.
In other words,
It's-
in other words, in other words.
It's the Japanese transitory lines that they use in long speeches and dialogue.
Yeah.
Or not dialogue. Just it's part of the language that does literally translate to in other words, or that being the case, etc., etc.
Yep. Yeah.
But
And
in
there's
English
this-
format, it just doesn't work.
You just wouldn't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you mean, Bolognius? What do you mean he was yelling Bolognously? Bologna?
It means to be yelling as if you're bellowing out. So it's like everything from like deep within you. It's a really archaic word. Like it's something that Subaru should be saying. Who says Bolognously in this day and age?
Yeah.
You
Where's
could, like,
Amelia?
see slowly
Amelia
dying
quakes.
as we
Me,
got through.
me.
It's me. I'm Amelia.
I do
Just Amelia.
stupid fucking
Who
Titanic.
smoked
Also,
10
cra-
packs today?
Crazy.
I
Boy
I said
fixed
the
it.
first one with like glee, like mild.
I
glee, like,
heard.
and then it started to just keep on being said over and over again. I was like,
You just adjust, giant. I adjusted because there was Titanic Scorpion in my
Yeah, but,
chapter
like-
too.
I
and I was just
appreciate
like,
you so
giant,
much.
after the
giant.
first one, I was like,
Oh yeah, there was glee in that. You're
Oh,
like,
it's cool, yeah.
Giles.
I
like,
smashed
yeah.
my head on the floor. I was just a bam.
And then
Get
I
that
slowly,
shit
as I
outta
said
here!
Titanic over and over again. I looked at the next paragraph. Like I was like, there was one more sentence and it said Titanic. I was like, okay. And then I looked at the next paragraph. It says Titanic like 4 times, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, it was just.
I need to do
Oh
a
my God.
stream where I take a shot every time. Silver Bell, Titanic.
Oh god. You're in
Amethyst
the
eyes.
Oh yeah.
A
Yeah,
shot of
I fucking
water
saw
because you
Amethyst.
will
I saw
die if
Amethyst.
it's anything else.
I saw Amethyst and I fucking snorted and I. Yeah, that was.
Oh,
That
no.
was a good one. That was
Mm.
holy shit. Dude, I was so dead by the end with some of the fucking grammar. And I was just like,
Yes.
what are you? Like some of the sentences I had to like reformat, or other ones I just say and like that didn't make any sense. Okay, I'm still reading. By the time I got to the end, it was just what?
I promise.
I just want
when
to go home.
When I laugh at you, it's never at you. It's like a, oh my god, we're the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
We're
It's
the
a
same.
commiserating.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Yep.
I trust me.
I was
finally-
following along near the end because it's like it just tag me in. I'll take it for you. It's okay. I'm right
Come in,
here.
Coach.
Yeah.
I'm ready to play.
Which were profoundly staring at Amelia, were reflecting her as if.
As if not reflecting her.
I was just like
Reflecting
wait,
her as if not
no.
reflecting her, and then it's like I had a strunk.
Yeah, my
Yes.
brain hit that. Like it read the next line. Wait, what?
Yep.
Dude, I paused. Okay, I'm restarting the line. And
visceral,
then like as
huh?
I was like as I was reading the line again, I was like, wait, okay, does that make sense at all? Is it like he's so dull that he's like reflecting, but it's no, that doesn't make any sense. No.
Oh no.
Y'all, this is so
Ugh.
fun. Good to be back.
It's good to
It
be
is.
back.
Yeah.
But I'm
It
fucking
is.
hungry.
Yes.
I think it's
Yeah, and
time to go.
I have
Yeah.
work to do.
You're not you when you're hungry. So with that,
Nope.
ladies and gentlemen at home, thank you so much for stopping by and watching with us and chatting with us. Hope you have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are. And goodbye.
Bye. See you Saturday.
Bye.
You